I wonder if everybody else is a bit like me as you're driving along, nothing much else to think about except, well, you could think about the business and your staff and what's going right, what's going wrong. But I think today I'm going to think about Brexit. Not that I haven't thought about it before, but it's on the television, isn't it? It's on all day, every day, morning, noon and night, every news bulletin. And I will be honest with you, I wanted to leave the EU, and I still want to leave the EU. I think it's farcical the way these politicians have been behaving. And whereas, yes, I think Theresa May has been a little bit weak in what she's negotiated, but we don't know the ins and outs of it. We don't know how hard they played. I think we should have took it right to the wire, and on the 29th of March left with no deal, and then the EU would have come back, and I think they'd have been a little bit more inclined to do a deal and negotiate then. But as it happens, we've got our politicians who all they want to do is bring the government down and take Theresa May out. Well, if she goes, who's going to replace them? There is nobody. And I actually don't think Jeremy Corbyn really wants to replace her, because he's not going to do a better deal. I don't understand why he thinks he's going to do a better deal. He's not going to do any better deal. So his life at number 10 won't be long-lived. And whoever goes there next, finishing this EU Brexit disaster out, their life will not be there very long. So I think you'll have a job to find someone to take the chalice up. But the politicians are to blame. They all want, well, they want to be sacked, all of them. And let's have some fresh blood in. Let's have some people who want to do something. They all want to criticise, and it's very easy to criticise. But as far as I can see, there isn't one of them that has put up an argument or a deal, or they've all said what they want, and a lot of it is just, it's just not going to happen. But they sit there and they go on their high horses. It's a debacle, and I actually do feel sorry for Theresa May. She's tried her best, and she's still got the country to run, as well as listening to all those idiots. You know, another referendum. What ridiculous idea that is. If we have a second referendum and it was decided that the country want to leave the European Union with no deal on the 29th of March, those idiots in Westminster would still vote no, we can't leave. So what would be the point of a referendum? The only reason a referendum is they want us to say yes, we want to stay in, and then we're going to go back to the EU. And I should think then they'll say, well, you'll have to pay a little bit more money and you'll have to do this and do that. Well, we want out of the EU. We want to be in control of ourselves. And I don't think that is too much to ask. You know, you've heard him, we've heard that we're going to have to put more ferries on. Well, why? Why are we suddenly going to do more business? Why is more traffic going to happen from the EU when we leave with no deal or any deal? Are we suddenly going to do more trade? Well, surely if that's the case, then that's going to be good. And are you telling me that they're not going to want to trade with us once we leave? Of course they are. Let's just get rid of the tariffs. We trade now with no tariffs. Let's continue to trade with no tariffs. But their problem is that when we trade with no tariffs and we're out of their tariff, their customs union, that means we can trade with other countries and we can have no tariffs on other countries. What does that mean? That means we might buy products from other countries that we would normally buy from the EU. So they won't like that. So that's why they want us to stop in. But who am I? I don't know. They don't take any notice of the man in the street. They just keep saying everybody wants to change their mind and they don't want to leave the EU. Well, I think that's a load of rubbish. because we could have another referendum. And if the referendum said, let us leave with no deal on the 29th of March, those clowns in Westminster will just say, we'll vote no. We need to stop in. We're not going to leave with no deal. So what is the point of the referendum? They only want a referendum if the answer is going to be, let's stay in the EU. So what do we do then? Do we have another referendum in another 2 years' time? Because we'll find out that nothing has happened, nothing has changed. We're still governed by all the sort of stupid laws that come out of the European Parliament. We spend millions of pounds sending people to sit across there. And I suppose all those that have had a job as a European MP, they'll want to stop in. What a little cushy number that is. Who knows what's going to happen? And now we've had an extension. Again, I'm not sure why or whatever good purpose that would be. They're not going to check. The EU aren't going to change their position. The only thing that can change is our MPs changing their minds. Well, I can't see that happening. They've had plenty of time to accept the deal. They're suddenly not going to wake up one morning and say, okay, let's accept the deal. So when we get to the extension period end, we're going to have the same dilemma. Poor old Theresa May is going to have another trip to Brussels to ask for another extension. And in the meantime, our position is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. I've no idea what's going to happen. And nobody else knows either. But the EU think they've got the upper hand. And I think they probably have. And now Theresa May's been again, asked Brussels for an extension. They've said yes to it. Why do you think? Why have they said yes to it? Again, I'm not a political correspondent and I don't follow it very closely. But they're not silly. They'll be thinking that they're weakening. Therefore, if we give them a little bit of an extension, it gives them more time for those politicians to say, let's stop in. Let's not go out. And I believe that is why they've said yes to an extension. Because they think we're going to collapse and say, let's stay in the EU. That's just my little thoughts on Brexit as I'm driving along.